I got a question for you. Does having a script in sales work for you, or does it hold you back from closing more deals? Hi there, I'm Rick Dupuy, 35-year plus salesperson, and I'm here to tell you a couple of quick stories about scripting. Many years ago, I was in the insurance industry. We went door to door to various farmers. The farmers were very welcoming, especially on a day when it was raining a little bit. They couldn't work their fields. They would be in their house, and they would look forward to having some company. So when you came knocking, that was a great time to have a conversation with them. The other prospects in that type of realm was for contractors, self-employed contractors. It was accident and sickness insurance that they were selling, more often called disability insurance. But this particular stuff was, well, we've all seen the presentation, I'm sure, with the exception of this one. This one was really unique, and I had to make note of it and remember what it was all about. And that was that during the course of my presentation, I would pull out an 8.5 by 14 sheet, rigid. It was actually laminated. It was in big block letters, and I would take my finger and I would follow along and have the person, the prospect, follow along as I'm reading it to them. After a while, you actually memorize it, but you're supposed to still do that. Had I just regurgitated it, memorized it, and said it that way, it wouldn't have been natural. It wouldn't have sounded right. Also, if I had just picked it up and read it to the prospect, it wouldn't have worked either. By but by taking my finger and reading it to them, they followed along. They were not bored with it. They stayed with me because they saw how long it was. It wasn't very long, but it was the entire presentation, and also allowed for a certain amount of CYA, or cover your own butt. Nice way to put it. The industry is fraught with litigation and whatnot. And if you're not a thorough person, then the idea is that if you're ever brought in a courtroom or whatever, you can say, yeah, I followed my script to the letter. In fact, I pointed it on the cardboard and they followed along with me. So that really, really worked. The idea of that particular sales visit was to close them in one sitting. So there was no time for a lot of Q&A, but in all, it actually worked really well. It really worked better for some, not so much for myself. I wasn't overly crazy about the industry itself, so I didn't stay with it forever. But I learned some really great lessons from it, and that is to have a script. Now, you can go through life and just wing it, but when you're selling services or you're selling some type of product or something like that, if you have a script, then you'll know that you're going to be thorough, and that was what that taught me back in the day of reading it off the page and having the prospect follow along. I'm not suggesting doing that because it doesn't work in every situation, but to actually have a script is a really good thing. When I'm training salespeople, and one of the first questions, or coaching them, one of the first questions I ask is if they're in a slump and I'm there for the reason of getting them back the numbers that they require for their company. Well, one of the first things that I'll ask is about a script, and I say, listen, where's your script? And if they don't have a script or something that they've worked off of, well, that's where we're going to start. That's where we're going to build right from that point. And the reason is because you really have to have a standpoint to in order to then go to the question and answer portion of your particular presentation. The other thing is, if it's a long sales cycle, you really want to be certain that the people that are your prospect that are going to actually have some really good information to go on and to make their decision based on what you presented to them. The other thing is, if it's a one-off visit that you visit, you close, and that is it, well, you really do have to be completely thorough in that regard. Otherwise, you just won't close. However, and you'll know actually with one of those scripts that I was describing initially here, was that you'll know early on whether they're actually in tune with what you're saying to them or not. With the script, you know that you're going to at some point ask for the close or some try closes along the way because that's built into your script, and that's what the script should have, is many elements to it. And we'll get into that another time. I only generally want to take 7 of your minutes to convey an idea, and the idea today is to be scripting. Script your presentation, not to sound canned, not to sound like you're a robot, not to sound you like your AI, with some of the AI stuff that's going on out there. I know full well that if it sounds canned, I'm not buying it. Similarly, if somebody calls me on the telephone and I'm having a conversation with them, they're reading off their script and they haven't made it their own. But they're trying to cover all the bases. Well, and just by reading it, well, I could tell that they're trying to read from a script and their heart is really not in it. So if you have a script, make it your own, and then you'll find that you'll get a lot more sales that way, especially having some sort of structure and the point of when to ask the questions, when to ask for a close, when to all of that. When they start asking the questions, of course, those are buying signals, and again, we'll cover that on another episode. But for today, just build your script, and if if your coach hasn't told you about that, they really should, or your mentor, or whomever that you are going to go to this person that's the highest selling salesperson in your organization. You'll find that the stuff that they do is scripted, or at least they've done it so often that they're going to cover all kinds of elements in order to get to the point of closing. And that's the lesson for today. Script it and succeed. Thank you so much for your time today. I do appreciate it. My name is Rick Dupuy, and I thank you again for your time. Have a really great day. Take care. Until next time. Bye for now.